Um. So yeah, we played some Runeterra. Boy, yeah, that's a card game.
It is a card game.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I my initial games, I made sure to get used to it off screen
Mm-hmm.
so that I could come in and just be like functional and grasp the like the systems at play instead of
Yeah.
like what do I click on and where, you know?
There was when the game came out a year ago, there were, thank you, darling. There were, oh God, I want to say like 15% of the current cards, but more importantly, there was 10% of the current mechanics. So if I just fired into a game at launch, like the challenger was there and barrier was there and like three other things, and I would mouse over them and go, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? Now,
That was
like,
1 year?
that was 1 year.
Holy
When you
fuck.
Okay, Wooly, the first you went through the tutorial thing where it's the challenges and it explains via tutorial every mechanic, right?
So there's the intro when you first start up where you do a bunch of introduction matches that like it's like how you play the game, period. Then
Yeah.
you get access to a number of basic decks and you do some like like decks with like two champions in them, and then you kind of like try out two different styles and learning how to mix and match and do the thing. Then I saw the section with challenges. I did some of them because they each
Okay.
teach you about a mechanic, but
Yeah.
there's like 50 of them.
Okay, so get this. They were all on a giant list, right? And by completion. And I think the fourth or fifth one was called Deep, right? And it was about deep decks. That one was the first post-launch one. Everything after that has been in the past 10 months.
That's crazy.
So
That's
when
so
I came
much.
back to it, it took me like 90 minutes to be like, what the fuck is Lurk? What is Predict? What is Nightfall? What is Daybreak? What is etc.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's too much to keep track of in such a short period of time. Like Teppen rolls out new heroes and new decks like like a new hero will show up every couple of months. A new event will roll out like every 2 months maybe. I don't know. It's almost like seasonal with the heroes, but that's a fucking ridiculous amount.
It's a ton.
If you're trying to keep
It's-
up.
They've done an expansion every 3 months since launch. And some of them, one of them, the last one that came out was like the Shurima one, the one that had the Trash Cans part of. That one had as many cards in the expansion as the game's original release did.
Fucking Christ, man. So I did not make it down that list. It's just it was way too many, you know? But I did go to look at like, the characters that I was interested in or the mechanics I wanted to know about. So yeah, I made sure to learn off screen, and I played a bit on my phone, and then I played a bit on desktop. And desktop is way better. Obviously, you have more.
Much
It's obviously. I mean, it's not a.
Much
why?
better.
Why wouldn't it be? Yeah, and then once I got the hang of that, then like I basically just did some AI matches, earned the right to go online, and then fought some people. So overall, I think I dig the system. I like what's what you're basically doing. There's a couple things that are, and because I'm coming at this with the like weird Freako Teppen game as my point of comparison / the thing that
Teppen's by far the weirdest off the fucking thing game.
and I like a bunch of weird things about what Teppen's doing. So playing Runeterra has shown me, one, I like the fact that you pick a character and then a deck, and it's not just a deck, right? So Runeterra, you are playing what seems to be, you always have a combination of two different tribes.
You can pick two different regions.
Okay.
You could go all in on one.
Okay.
But you can pick from two regions.
So all the default introduction decks they give you are two color, right?
Yeah.
Teppen like doesn't give you that as a base thing. Everyone's deck that you get is a single color, and then you kind of can mix and match it if you want to go into two, or you can even go up to three with a heavily reduced AP. But I like the fact that the character that I choose, like first, has a special that's unique that I can affect the game with, and then I can also like build my deck around this character's trait, as opposed to kind of just the champion cards in my deck. And then the Nexus ends up being pretty much like the same character on both sides.
Yeah, the way it ends up playing out in Runeterra is basically like you're still picking a character usually, which is the champion card that you're building the whole fucking deck around. Yes. But they've made it so that you can only pick two regions, and the last region period is coming out, I want to say next 2 months from now or something like that, and then they're going to be done with regions. They're not going to be adding any more.
Okay. But what I mean is that like you can still have a deck built around the champion, but like by having the character specific super, it's a third point of synergy when you're building the whole deck. So you still have, like in Teppen, you can still have champion cards, which are just high point, high cost end game cards that are going to do a lot of cool things for you. And you have low point, like regular action cards, spells, and units. But like by building, hold on a second.
Hold on 1 second.
Woolception.
Throw this dog around.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, Woolception it is for the moment then.
Oh wait, that happens on your screen?
Yes. The Negaverse is now a thing. So it's a weird visual. Don't worry about it.
Hey, I'm back. Wow.
All right.
Oh, I forgot my keyboard.
Infinite Woolies all the way down. The third point of synergy is an extra layer of like deck building fun in a way where you're like, okay, I have this type of super, this type of champion, and then I build this type of deck around these two things, you know? I like that about Teppen. I like the timer, but that's not as big of a deal to me. In the sense that like while I'm learning especially, you still have a turn and a countdown to when you counterplay. But yeah, you always have a perfect counterplay, so there's no action to it. That's fun.
My experience with learning Teppen was like pretty frustrating because what happened is that because it's action based, and I'd be playing like the starter Wesker deck or whatever. It's like I literally don't have time to read what this card does.
Yeah, so
I only have time to read what it does after I've already played it.
So here's the other thing, right? And this is like depends on how you approach these games and what you're willing to do. I played the first couple decks just feeling them out, and as I drew something in my hand, I would read what it does and then make a decision. Right? After that first couple games, I then went to the edit deck screen and read everything in the deck. So I'm like, I'm going in knowing everything I'm going to draw in advance so that I'm not unfamiliar. It'll just be a reminder of what I already read. And I think that is a extra step that goes a long way towards enjoying a new card game. It takes some time to do it, but going in and learning what the full deck is instead of just reacting to what you draw initially, you'll enjoy yourself more.
The usual thing is that I'll build up a new deck that I usually pull off of like Mobilytics or something, and I'll play like 5 matches with it, and then I'm gonna go and be like, okay, what are some of the cards I never saw that could show up?
Sure.
What am I trying to go for? What's my curve?
Because
right,
the stuff where you're like, yeah, I don't have time to see what this card is doing and stuff. I felt the exact same way, because when I was trying to figure out what the best play was, I'm reading through the card descriptions on my side and on his side, and on every turn the countdown timer is like, dude, you got to play. So
it's a weird thing, because that style or that situation used to be really easy because there were that many fucking mechanics. But now that if you're loading into a match and you're like, okay, I need to figure out why this guy is lurking and daybreaking, and I need to look at my Neverglade collector and figure out what it's going to drain from. Okay, my turn's over.
And then, but then going in and reading every card just nullifies this problem entirely. So it's just literally do your homework and you won't have this issue. And it helped too, because then when I played a game against somebody who was putting out spiders, and I was like, I know,
good old spider aggro.
I know that you want spiders on the board, and if I have the choice to either trade and kill off both of our units this turn, or just pass, I'm going to trade and kill, because less spiders on the board means you're going to have a harder time leveling up your spider lady. Elise?
Elise. So this is a good example of the different tack that Teppen versus Runeterra takes, where when Runeterra wants to add a new character, they put a new card out. They just say, hey, here's a new fucking card. It's Trash Can, which I'm sure we'll get to at the end. Or it's Viego, which I saw the clip of you reading Viego's fucking actual ability. Viego's ability is insane. It's super busted.
Super simple.
You can get it to proc.
Super simple, super good.
Right? Okay, new character. And now you can put that character into an existing deck or mix and match. And so the actual character list, right, in air quotes, for Runeterra is enormous. I think there's 45 champion cards at this point, right? With Teppen, you do get that because it's been extricated from the card decisions. It is a third point of synergy, but when they want to make a new type of character, they have to build out a whole fucking new character type. And the benefit to that is obviously, like, I mean, I played a Wesker and their Gigante deck, and they're both black decks, but they both were doing completely different things, and it was really cool. But when I look at let's say Teemo, I don't know if you ran into Teemo.
I sure did.
Teemo is the best incorporation of his League counterpart, because Teemo in League is an invisible little
fucking rat.
Bastard who mines your garbage and makes it an infuriating ordeal to walk down your lane.
In the actual game.
Perfectly replicated here.
Okay.
But I have Teemo in a burn
5
deck.
poison mushrooms is a lot, man. That's a lot.
Did he get to level up and hit you?
I hooked him. Both times.
Okay, but did you see what actually happens?
It becomes 10, doesn't it?
No.
Or whatever. What was?
No, Wooly. He hits you for 5 poison mushrooms. The level up isn't that he doubles the amount of mushrooms he does to you. It's that it doubles the amount of mushrooms in your deck. So you get you cast a bunch of spells and get like 30 mushrooms, and then he hits you and it's 60, and then he hits you and it's 120, and then you just die.
You're going to die in this many turns. Yeah.
Sometimes it's 1. But I have a Teemo deck that's based around elusives. I have a Teemo deck that's based around control. I have a Teemo deck that's based around burn. I have etc. Based on who I paired him up with. And did I pair him up with Draven? Did I pair him up with Ezreal? Did I pair him up with whatever? And so that's where like it's not quite as distinct on its face, but you get to mix and match, and it does some different things.
And so once again, you can in Teppen you can still do that, right? But it's but like I said, the overall difference in like those abilities makes a massive change because so you mentioned Wesker and Nergigante. Wesker like and Nergigante can both be playing black decks that are all doing damage to you as you play them, you know?
Yeah, I played one of those myself.
Exactly,
it was
like
cool.
sacrifice your cards, kill other cards, take some hits, right? But like Wesker's whole thing is like get as many cards in the graveyard as possible so that I can resurrect them, and also like with more things in the graveyard I'll have abilities or whatever. Whereas Nergigante is like fuck the graveyard, all the sacrificed damage I've taken, I'm going to now throw back at you as my super, you know?
Which is appropriate for Nergigante.
Yeah, so you know, so like again, it's that extra vector in addition to the doubling of the heroes and such. But what I so I did that, and then what I really like is the conditions for leveling up being sometimes they have to be in play and see the conditions, but sometimes they don't. That's fucking cool. Because there's nothing like that I've in Teppen, for example, where a level up condition can be pre-obtained before they even get drawn out. When you see Yasuo in the deck be like, oh, he's ready to go, and I know I have a lot of stuns, that's fucking cool. I like that a lot.
My favorite deck in the game, even though it's not that good, but it's my favorite to play, is what's called a deep deck. And it's a deck that's filled with sea monsters that enormously increase their damage and health once you only have 15 cards left.
Yeah.
So the point of it is that you're drawing bullshit to throw away as many cards as possible.
Get to the halfway point.
Right. And Nautilus.
Oh wait,
is
40
hero.
Cards, even further than that.
You start with 40, so get down to 15. So you're tossing it. You're throwing everything out. And Nautilus is the hero that this deck is based around, and he's my favorite hero in the game because he starts with 13 health and toughness, which means he's super durable, and 0 attack. And he can't hit you at all.
But he can block.
But if you are deep and you place him on the board, suddenly he has 12 attack, and he puts every single sea monster that costs more than 4 back into your deck, and now they cost 3 less to play.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So if you hit deep and pull Nautilus, all of it just goes...
Beast mode. Yeah. Cheap, free access to monsters that are pretty strong. Yeah.
But make it to having only 15 cards, because you're playing a shitty control deck until then, and everybody can kill you.
Yeah, well, make sure you're... Yeah, so that was the other part, too, where it's like, unavoidable damage from your Nexus at some points if you want to play properly. That took a lot of getting used to, because in Teppen, like, almost...
you want to block everything.
You want to block everything, right? And that was a part that, like, people were watching going, no, Woolie, just pass. What are you doing? And I'm like, no, I don't want my Nexus to get damaged because that's what makes the game end. And it's like, yes, but if your units die, then you can't fight back, you know? And it's like... because attack turns and defense turns are not the same thing. In Teppen, they're the same thing. So playing my card and playing your card, we trade, and then it all comes out in the wash. We see whose numbers do better.
But want to get that double value. You want to get that 1 point card to kill 2.
But the fact that you can be on defense and end up blowing your hand, and then comes to offense and you've got nothing to play, that like then it makes a lot more sense. And so that division was one of the hard ones to get used to. It was like, no, sometimes you take the damage in order for a better play.
The champion mechanic, either being visible or not, has a bunch of fun little knock-on effects. You have champions that need to be in hand and see things happen. Suddenly the whole game for 5-6 turns becomes around, I want to kill that. I don't want to let you kill that. And so you have all these weird
Hey, yo, Darius, you want to see your chick? You want to see your girl? Boom, blow her up. Just as soon as you get that girl out, fucking throw her. Is it Darius? I think it's Darius, the gun guy.
No, you're thinking of Lucian.
Oh, excuse me. Like, if you see your girlfriend die, he gets double fucking turns or whatever. It's just like, all right,
double attack.
Sorry, bro.
This is the best buff in the game.
Yeah,
they attack before the enemy and simultaneous. They can kill anything with that.
All you gotta do is just make him watch his girl die. No problem.
I totally agree with you with that. There's a million mechanics that are all like, they're all doing something weird, but it has led to a situation where there's a bunch of really bizarre interactions now that are possible when you mix and match weird ones.
Which is what I find really fun. I like that. So
there's a good example. There's a deck that I'm running called Severe Zed Combo, which you must have seen Zed at some point. He summons a shadow version of himself to attack.
The ephemeral attacker, yeah.
So you run Severe, and her thing is once you've seen, I think it's 30 damage total done to enemies, to what have you, her keywords become everyone's keywords. So she has Spell Shield and Quick Attack. Suddenly, everything on your board when they attack has Spell Shield and Quick Attack.
Keywords are card properties?
Keywords a card property. Challenger, Lurk,
tough,
whatever.
Yeah. Regenerate.
So suddenly everything has Spell Shield and Quick Attack. Means you can't cast any spell to stop them, and they'll insta-kill anything they beat in power. And the whole deck is building up to, I want to level her up and have a couple units and then put them, and then nothing can stop it.
Yeah, there was one card, it was like Tyramir or something like that. It's like a big Viking guy.
Oh, Tyramir, yeah.
Holy shit.
If I die, I come back way stronger.
And if I die, I level up. And also, he has what to me seems like the most valuable thing from what I've seen. What was it? The ability that like any leftover damage hits the Nexus?
Overwhelm.
Fucking, that sounds like how you win a game.
Because what you wanted would, if you wanted to block him, you'd block him with the lowest value unit possible, because he's going to do tons of. Oh no, but it's going to eat through.
Because like that's the whole system that again I had to like learn was like, don't match heavy hitters to heavy blockers.
Use the weakest bullshit possible to block.
Sacrifice weak cards to heavy blockers. They'll die, and then your heavy blockers will actually, or heavy attackers rather, and your heavy blockers will take a 1 or 2 or nothing if it's like Vi, and then you just keep on rolling. So
so what you want to do is you want to have you hope that you have a card in your deck that kills enemy unit, that recalls enemy unit, that makes your unit invincible, right? That Frostbite, which gives him 0 attack for 1 turn, what have you.
So I like Yasuo. I like Samurai
Yasuo's fun.
He's cool.
Yasuo is an infuriating control deck.
And fortunately, the character that I thought was cool also has a really dope ability that wasn't like lame. So picking on aesthetic didn't bite me in the ass this time. And getting to see what his deck was like, especially when you pull out Yone, especially when you pull out the other stunner cards and things like that. I forgot the one where
there's so many now. I can't. Even
there's the like the cat with the sword or whatever, the furry with the sword, and you play it, and
that could be anything.
Yeah, there's a furry with a sword, and when you play it, it stuns 2 people. I want to say.
Well, that's a good card.
That shit's great. Leona also, who comes out and stuns the strongest. She's really good. So yeah, all of that is really nice. And then what I did was I looked at his ability and I was like, okay, what can I do to make this all really, really work together? And I started looking into the cards I don't have, because and I saw, like, what if you played Yasuo and is it Riven? Not Riven. It's evil guy who has a boat. Who
Evil guy who has a boat. I'm thinking is Swain.
I want, yeah, maybe white hair.
What was his ability?
His ability was once you, yeah, it was Swain. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Once he sees up to 20 non-direct damage, he levels up to something that, like, I think it like causes stun on. It was a really good stunning ability, basically.
Pull it for you.
Yeah, I don't remember the full, because I didn't get to actually play with them together. Every time you damage the Nexus, he had like a bunch of
when
stuff.
you deal any non-combat damage to the Nexus, you'll stun the strongest enemy, the strongest back row enemy, and if you hit the Nexus, you'll deal 3 to everyone and the enemy Nexus.
Right.
So if he manages to hit the Nexus, you'll basically wipe the entire other side of the board.
And also, there's everyone who's stunned, right? Or something like. Okay, there was another thing that was like do damage to everyone that's stunned or something like that. Then there was like a bellowing.
That would be Yasuo.
Yes, he did. Well, he does his slash. Yeah. And then there was a bellowing roar. I think it was. It was like a Minotaur card that would like, again, cause so you just have this crazy thing of like, I'm stunning everything, I'm cutting everything, and when I hit the Nexus, I'm getting, like, whatever you pull out, I'm fucking it up.
What I would say is that if you're the type of person who likes to make a combo deck, Runeterra is probably for you, because there are a shit zillion different combinations you can do. There's a character named Senjuani. Hit the Nexus when she's leveled up, and she frostbites everyone, which puts their attack to zero. But then you throw a deck in there that says kill all enemies that have a power less than 3. So just bam, the whole board wipe, just done.
Yeah.
You have one of my old favorite decks, which is Thresh, who levels up after seeing 6 units of either side die. And when he attacks, he pulls a champion out of your deck to attack with you. So you would get the enemy health to 10, and then you would level Thresh up, and then you would attack, and then Darius would just come out at full strength leveled up and hit through whoever the fuck was sitting there. There's all sorts of just bizarre interactions.
On an aesthetic level, I can definitely see, like, yeah, there's no contest between pulling up the artwork on a Tepen tile versus like full screen with a little lore read at the bottom. Every piece of artwork is like over fucking emphasized.
It's wild. I couldn't believe the way they did it. And if you've played the mobile version, it makes more sense. Every card is actually a huge 16:9 wallpaper. That for the card that you would hold in your hand is done vertically, but when you place it, it gives you a wide shot of it. And on the phone, the vertical one is a zoomed in of the character's head to be more readable.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is a giant piece of art for a card.
And on top of that, when you have your level up animations pop, like, it's always a big old fancy crazy Overwatch alt quotable line.
It's really funny.
That sun girl talking about the sun.
Oh yeah. Leona, I want to say, maybe.
I guess it's Leona, yeah.
I'm not up to date on my League of Legends characters. It's really, really funny to see the difference between the characters that came out last year and their level up animations and the ones that came out over the past 3 months. Because if you saw Garen, Thresh, Darius, etc. level up, the card like does a little spin and maybe a weapon will be held by the card and do a cool thing, but the card is the one doing it. And now it's like it levels up and it zooms into a CG
A
movie
cutscene.
of
Yes.
the character doing something.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, you guys are probably gonna go back and make Thresh and Darius's shit look a little better in the next round.
I saw there was like an Egypt themed dude who was like a Mummies Alive character, and I was like, what's your
Azir,
deal?
he's my favorite character. I'm playing
Yeah.
his deck right now.
And like I went to his tutorial, and then like I saw his level up animation, and it was just like, holy fuck, we just cut into a big like resurrecting the fucking I am the pharaoh.
Is sand and sky, past and present. Or tell the people what you saw here today.
Yeah, it was insane. Like I was like, that's big expensive money. So of course, you know, and why wouldn't it be? It's a fucking League of Legends based card game.
Yeah.
So big shinies on all that. Plus, not even talking about the skins of like if you want to get like Cosmic Yasuo or whatever.
Those are for like insane people. The people who spend $14 to change the look of the card itself. Those people are nuts.
I mean, that's the kind of thing where like if I play for a while and I'm like happy with my deck and I'm enjoying using it and I'm going to stick with it, I don't mind supporting the game and going, yeah, I'll buy a cosmetic. I like this, you know?
Yeah.
That's totally fine to me.
It's just wild because those are $15, but the boards that are a completely different board and musical theme are $10.
Okay.
And it's like, what? But it's what?
But I'm still so much happier to do something like that than to spend fucking 100 on Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like the level of insanity on like the random draw to get like some of those rare skins is just like, go fuck yourself. Like I'll pay the 14 or 10, you know?
So that's like we're talking about it, and like that's the part. So I spent $8 on cards after like the second day that I played it back when it came out, because it was one of those starter things that it's like 97% off and they give you like 100 cards or whatever. But since then I haven't spent a dime on it one way or the other. And I played it for 2 months back when it came out, and I've been playing it for the past month, and I have about 55% of all the cards.
Wow. Just through playing. Okay.
It's really, really generous.
Are you constantly switching your progress roads?
I'm switching them. I got everybody to the first champion box, and then I switched them again until I got the card back.
Okay.
And then when I'm done that, I'll switch them again and go through all of them.
So I didn't get to the two things, to the two complaints that I have. I wasn't quite done.
Let's hear it.
One was when I was theory crafting a deck of Swain and Yasuo, stun built and such. I saw there was stuff like a lot of that would be like, oh, there's a great card that can stun any unit, but it's slow. So what if they deny it? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll have to have my own denies on hand, right? So like I looked up that because like I'm like what's the equivalent of negate?
Everybody has some kind of deny equivalent now.
Yeah.
Back when the game came out, most regions didn't.
Okay.
There was only deny. That was the only one when the game came out.
So I mean, to this day, like in Teppen, bald-faced lie, I think it's called, where it's like it's just a card of Ada lying to Leon or whatever. It's just like, yeah, this is the card that says if you're doing a spell under 6 or something, you just cancel it, and it's simple, it's cheap, it's easy.
It's like fuck.
There's other more expensive denial cards, but like that's the base, that's the bare bones, you know. So I'd want to get one of those, and I started building up the deck, and so this was really I found this pretty annoying. Is like I like hypothetically building something, and then I can unlock what I want, what I can towards eventually being able to play it. You cannot build a hypothetical deck out of cards you don't own unless you scan it in from someone else.
Yeah.
So I basically just hit a wall where I was like, oh, I can't drag like the extra cards that I don't have into this container right now and save it until I actually earn them or whatever. And like that sucked. I don't like that because I the theory crafting process when you're building a deck, at least when I'm playing Teppen and stuff, it's big. It's like you got to sit down, you got to do a lot of reading, and then sometimes I have to save like 2 versions of a similar deck, and then like go and realize I'm like, okay, there's 2 cards difference here. Let me try and like crush some dust and go recycle it into something else, and then try one out. And like it doesn't let me play that game. I have to get someone else with a lot more cards to have to send me a code or something to do that. So that sucks. I couldn't build decks as easily and efficiently.
Didn't know that existed, honestly. That sucks.
It's a huge part of like when I'm playing Akuma in Teppen and I'm like, no, this card's not working, put in this one, or drop this to 2 and pull in this to 3. Like I have multiple copies of the same deck, and a bunch of the times I'm leaving in just like a gray card, but that's an important part for the theory crafting part. If you're just net decking, then you don't need to think about this. You just grab what's out there. It
feels like they want you to net deck because of the import feature is really really smooth.
Yeah, and it's smooth in Teppen as well, but the net decking process does have to start with someone, So someone has to do it, and like I just want to be able to make a target deck that I can be excited to build towards.
Right now, I'll tell you what I said when you were playing Runeterra. I like
we always go back to Teppen. Sorry, we always go back to Teppen because it's my only point of reference, guys. I didn't play Magic the Gathering.
If I played Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, I'd be talking about Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, but I haven't.
I thought that'd be obvious.
Apparently, this one's like really, it's trying to be Magic the Gathering, but with the characters. Like it's trying real hard. It's much more in that vein. But
cards didn't turn sideways at any point. I didn't tap anything, so
yeah, it's true. I'll say something again. When you were playing Runeterra on stream and I was streaming Pokemon Unite, I got really excited and I yelled out, "Oh man, I'm gonna kick the shit out of Woolie at Runeterra, haha!" And then people were like, "Do it now." I'm like, "No, I'm gonna wait. Like, if he keeps playing it, I'll wait like 6 weeks until he actually has a bunch of cards and can build a deck." To which somebody said, "But Woolie's way better at building decks than you are," which is true because I don't know how to do that shit at all. But you're not as good at building decks as Swim or Mogwai. Who I steal all my decks from.
Sure.
Like everybody else.
Yeah.
So Mobalytics is the website for Runeterra where you would go to see decks. And there's a button on the screen that says tier list and has the curated decks by E.G. Swim ready to be pushed out and for you to fill them in.
Yeah, and now that is a brilliant move because anyone who does copy that can go, well, time for me to spend a fuck ton of money, whale out, and get these cards. So if you have a champion's deck that is all shit you don't own, then you look at that as like, well, I just need to spend enough money to craft all the things I want.
That happened to me 6 weeks ago because I got back into it and I had Darius and Thresh and Elise and Draven and a couple others. Not much else. And I'm looking at the tier list and I'm like, I don't see a single one of their fucking names up there on that tier list. Shit. So then I went to Mobalytics' thing and like, give me a popular deck using Elise and Darius. And I got one. And I played with that deck and a couple others that I could cobble together that were decent. And earned, I want to say like 13, 14 champion cards or the associated shards in that 6 weeks. And I'm now running 3 or 4 of the decks on that tier list. Getting the 40 card limit and the 2 region limit has made it so that if you play for like 2 months, you can get whatever the fuck you want.
Okay.
And right now, I'm not even getting cards to fill up new decks. I'm getting them to fill up my backup of wild cards, so that when there is something I want to play, I just go and get it.
So it's being generous. That's good. That's good. Because yeah, I was trying to build a deck on stream. You know, I was trying to theory craft a deck on stream, and it just did like I hit a wall.
I think the reason why they get away with that for most people is that after 1 week on the Thursday, like let's say you play 3 games a day, once a day for 1 week, that Thursday unlock of cards
I saw the Thursday thing.
It's enormous. It's a shit ton of stuff, and it's a ton of shards that you can use to buy whatever. Okay. I felt, as somebody who has wasted a bunch of money on Warframe hats and loot boxes, I felt no incentive at all to actually go and buy cards.
Well, I can say this. I am currently undefeated on stream. I have a perfect 100% 6-0.
I'm sure not. I've lost most of my stream games. I choke under pressure for sure.
So I get to just put that in my pocket.
Hey, your big one of your big complaints was the deck building, but you said you had 2.
Yes. And this one is the biggest one, but time will decide whether or not it stays in place. The main attraction about the system is the sub-turns. There are major turns where you get the attack token, and then I get the attack token. And within those turns, there's action, sub-action, sub-action, response. And again, Teppen has the response timer that goes back and forth.
Yeah, they have their own mode for that instead of just being part of the turn. What's it called? Instant response or
instant response, right? Now, maybe it's just the way it's presented, but like the instant response thing changes the board around into a different state where I know you're in instant response time. Everything you can't play is grayed out. Everything you can play is active, and then you can drag it in and do the whole thing, and then and the timer goes and whatever, right? I'm getting so confused as to when I can and cannot act in these sub-turns.
Yeah, that's gonna go away with 20 more games.
And what really annoyed me was when I could not act, but I still had to press pass. And I'm like, what? Don't just do it. Just don't make me do a nothing turn for confirmation. It was so annoying because I'm having the hardest time getting used to that flow of like, okay, you played a spell, I get a chance to respond, maybe, depends on if it's fast or not. But at first I was like, oh, I thought there was like a set number of actions when I get the token versus when you get it. And then there would be times when it wasn't clear whether or not that was the final action of the round. You know?
Yeah.
Would it come back to me or not? I don't know.
There's 2 things there. One of which is whether or not it's the final action of the round can depend on the opponent's response. So let's say the opponent hasn't attacked and I'm sitting there and I could cast a spell, right? If I cast a spell, he gets another decision whether or not to attack or not.
Beforehand, yeah. Before you even line your cards up.
You end up in this bizarre situation where you're both sitting on like tons of mana and he's waiting for you to pull out a card that he can kill. And if you don't pull out anything, he won't do anything. As for your other thing, there is straight up in the general options, the first option that you can see is enable auto pass.
Auto pass. I did see that. Yeah.
And when you turn that on, it says you can't do anything, and it just clicks the button for you.
Okay. And so I'm seeing people say that's good. That's not good for meta. But like in terms of just learning the flow of the game, I was getting really lost in like, a couple of moments where I'm like, okay, if he does a spell, I know I have time to respond with a spell for the most part. But then there would be times where it'd be like, okay, now am I moving my defenders up, or am I waiting for him to put one up? And then once he does, and I put mine up, and I click this, are they going to clash now? Or is there going to be another turn afterwards? Because sometimes we would put them up, but then it wouldn't be over, right? There would be another action. And I was...
This will integrate over time, but the long and short of it is that the spells all have notes on them as to when you can play them, right? Bursts you can play anytime, fasts you can play most of the time, slows you can only play out of combat, and then focus you can only play out of combat and something else. The general thing is that the game doesn't make it clear enough to a new player what is a combat action and what is the summoning phase. There's nothing on the screen that actually tells you you're in combat, other than the fact that people are in the center of the board.
Yeah.
If people are in the center of the board, summoning's over.
Right. And if the sword's on your side, it's your attack turn, so you're playing. Yes. Yeah. But that's the one thing where I was just like, when we're in the spell mode, again, when you're in the active phase in Teppen, the board fucking change. It's a completely different thing. You can't possibly mistake it, you know?
Yeah, you're completely right. For a new player, I was not confused when instant action happened or instant reaction. I knew exactly what it wanted, and it grayed out shit I couldn't use.
And there were a number of times where I was like, I'm defending. He hasn't put anything up. I guess I'm going to put my things up. And this is much more minor, but it was like I was trying to drag my cards to the back row where they sit when you play them, and the game was like, no, you drag them to the front row, and then they slide to the back row. And I was I kept trying to build up, but it highlights the back row. I just want to drag it there.
They're actually in the last patch, like earlier this week, they put out a feature that is experimental for right now until they get it working, which is click to action.
Oh, interesting.
Which is for desktop, which is literally, do you want to play a card? Click on it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do that because there's too many times I'm examining the card to see what it does and sliding through its level ups and shit.
That's
a thing that bothered me the most, I'd say.
The auto pass thing is really interesting because I would absolutely tell you to start using it for a while, but if you were playing a bunch of ranked games and you were getting up there, turn it off because it'll do things like, okay, turn one, you have
give
the
you more time
token.
to think.
No, not even that. Not even that. Turn one, you have the attack token, right? You have one mana, right? Under normal circumstances, you look at your thing and go, oh, I can't play anything. I don't have anything that's one mana. And then you hit pass, right? If auto pass is on, the instant the turn lands, it'll just instantly flip the thing, but faster than a human could do it. And you have now told the other guy you don't have anything to play at one mana. It went from being a choice to
an indicator.
A broadcasted, there is not a single one mana unit in this guy's hand.
Okay.
Or there's not a single 2 mana unit. Or
and the speed at which it does it is not the same as you.
They'll put down a spell that'll kill your guy, and you have nothing that you can actually play, and it just auto completes. It tells them you didn't save your deny. You don't have a deny.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I understand. That's a really good reason for that to not auto pass. Okay,
so it's
fair enough.
It's there. I have it on right now, and I'm getting to the point where I should probably turn it off because I'm in gold and people are kicking my fucking ass.
No, that's a really good reason. But then I'm just gonna say I wish like things were more clear in in that regard.
I don't blame you. You're right. There could be a slightly more intuitive way in order to show off like a spell phase or combat phase.
Yeah, but I did have fun with it, and I did see that Yeah, there's a point where it's like, oh, dude, you're fucked no matter what. And it's like, are you going to pass? Or are you going to ride it out to the end? And I'm like, I ride it out to the end because I'm like, I can't. I'm like, I've come back from 1 health in Teppen sometimes. But when you see that, it's like, no, you've got no answers to this.
Yeah.
And thanks to the eyeball, which is like the preview button, which is fucking amazing.
The eyeball's so good. It's what tells you whether or not you should surrender or not.
Yeah, it's exactly it. It's should I give up? Yeah, totally. The eyeball's incredible. That's a fantastic feature for a turn-based game.
Eventually, that surrender button gets real useful because you'll look at what they have and you'll look at what you have and you look at your hand and you think about, is there anything in my deck at all that if I got drawn next could save me from this?
Mm-hmm.
Nope. All right. Click, surrender. Good game. Do the hand palm emote with Shen to tell them good game.
The other, I don't know. Someone waved at me with the blocking guy, and then I waved back, and someone said that's BM.
Yep.
I don't know.
Not BM at all. It's GM at the start of the match. It's BM at the end of the match.
Okay.
If you want good manners, you wave at the beginning, and when you realize you have lost or the whatever, you do the Shen emote to be like, that was a good game. Pretty much every other emote is you being an asshole.
Okay.
Especially the crying ones, because if you use the crying ones when you beat them up,
yeah, for sure. The other amazing feature is the history button, because a bunch of times I was like, what the fuck just happened? Because some cards
that
cast spells that I've never seen. And I'm reading the spell and then shit happens.
That I was playing when we were talking before the podcast started, because somebody used a card I had never seen that had an effect I didn't understand.
Yes.
And it killed my whole board.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did it kill my whole board?
Yeah.
Can I please go look at that card a little more closely, please?
Exactly. You know, and since Teppen is action, you have to go look at you have to go watch the replay of the match over. You know, but in this case, you just scroll down, and that's nice. What sucks about it though is that you can't examine any cards shown in the history tab. You can just see them in a small thumbnail. So I saw some cards I'd never seen, and I could read what they said from the thumbnail. But I wanted to click on them to examine them, and I couldn't, you know. So I was like,
Did you right-click on them? Because I think you can.
I did.
Weird. Bummer.
Yeah, but anyway, like, all of that made a lot of sense, and in the end was very enjoyable. And then on my way out the door, it asked me to pick a fucking faction, and I was like,
because the event's happening.
Yeah, you know. And then I was like, I for a second I thought the cosmic skins were the same as the sentinel skins, and so I thought, I'm like, oh, maybe I can get cosmic Yasuo with this one or whatever. And it was like, I made the mistake, but whatever.
No, that's an old event, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's fine. And then it's like, hey, you got action or Ashcan or whatever, and I'm like, cool,
trash can.
What's this? And then the clip parts 1 through 5 or 4.
Yeah.
Explain everything you need to know, because it took me fucking 4 or 5 clips to actually read what this character does.
It's the most complicated card in the game by multiple orders of magnitude, and it came alongside the same character being added to League, where he is also the most complicated character in the game by orders of magnitude. And I look at him, and it's interesting because he's a decent card right now. He's fun to use, and he's got lots of crazy shit that he can do.
People said he
sucks. I fought a bunch of them. He sucks ass in League for sure.
Okay.
He is bad in League.
Looking at that, like, was immediately the first thing I thought when I saw that list of subcards scroll off the screen was, oh no, this is the latest card, and this is what the game has become. And the beginning deck is what I was simple and easy, and now it's all about these. That's what I thought was about to happen.
Because the card that came along with him was the other character, Viego.
Yeah.
Has an incredibly simple mechanic.
kill your card or steal your champion. No, kill your champion or steal your card.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
How do you get there? Watch your allies die, and once the power hits a certain number, bing, bang, boom, game's over.
So yeah, there was a lot to process in this Runeterra, Runeteppen, Runeterra.
No, you were right.
But I took a look, and those videos will be coming out on the channel shortly. And
somebody pointed out in the chat earlier that card games have almost the exact same problem as the MOBA thing we were talking about earlier, where it's like, do you want to play the Riot card game? Do you want to play the Blizzard card game? Do you want to play the CD Projekt card game? Do you want to play Magic? Do you want to I don't know what's wrong with Magic. I assume there is something that's horrible about Magic. Do you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, which is owned by Konami? Like, fucking fuck.
Yeah. A lot of people asked, like, so, as in, like, what's next? And I don't know. I thought it was all right. I got nothing for you. But here's what I'll say. I won't uninstall it. I'll leave it installed. All right?
I can understand people's desire because Runeterra is more popular than some of the other ones because it's so much easier to play for free. So there's more people that want to see you get into the thing that they like. I assume that just even if was it Project L, the fighter they're making, comes out and you're like, I'm not crazy about it, because it's going to be the free fighter that everyone gets into, they're going to be like on your fucking doorstep
for sure,
screaming when you're going to get good at Darius or Ari play.
Wait, was it not Darius? Who's the fucking Ryu ass lukewarm water soldier man?
Garen.
Look at that soldier. He's a fucking soldier. And then
Garen's a lot more fun to play in League than he is in Runeterra.
Boy, is he just white Wonder Bread. He's just toast.
Yep, 100%.
And you level him up, and he's like, his card lore is like, you say I'm predictable, but that's right, I am predictable. But that's why I win. Fundamentals win championships.
Yeah.
Oh boy. He's
what's known as a foundation card.
Yeah. Ryu
like
yells, I am boring. Damn right.
That came out of the beginning were all pretty normal, like Braum or Elise or him or Thrash or Darius, right? They're all like, they make sense. All those super weirdos have come out since.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's just Ryu is telling you that he's balanced, and that's why you should pick him. His balance will win.
I don't like playing as him. I don't like his card.
Yeah, no, it's very yes. It was, like the everything about his face, and then it was like, and then Darius was like, oh shit, here's the Satsui no Hado version, here's the angrier one.
Basically the same character but more fun, which is how I feel about them in League also.
Oh yeah, okay.
They both share the same role, but Darius has a hook, so he's more fun to play.
Sure. Yeah, I will not uninstall it. Anyway, you can tune in for some of that, as well as, I believe, the final parts of Superliminal going up on the WoolieVersus channel. We continue. We strive on. YouTube and Twitch as per usual. Going to be finishing off Disco Elysium for sure this week.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm excited to see that.
We were like, last session could have been the final, but then we decided to cut it there. So we're gonna be hitting the finale.
Take a nap when you can.
Okay. Okay.